Great question. You know, again, I didn't follow the contemporary art world very closely, you know, but everybody knows Basel, and that absolutely, whether you like it or not, that put Miami on the map as a cultural mecca for part of the year. And that has definitely had, you know, reverberations. People love to argue about it, but absolutely that raised the bar for Miami. You know, and of course all the other art fairs that surround that, and then there's other times a year, of course, we have other kinds of art fairs. So, you know, Design Miami and et cetera. So I think Miami is absolutely evolving into what it already has proposed it can be. So in a funny way, it's catching up with itself. I think it is. I think the fairs have made a difference here, but now the rest of Miami needs to catch up in terms of, I don't know, museums, the sophistication of the art viewing crowd. The galleries is something I'm not as tuned into, but I know they feel a lot of the challenges. But so do all galleries, frankly, everywhere, because the art fairs is where they make their money now. And, you know, it's a handful of galleries in the world that actually make the market anyway. So, you know, I'm not so sure it's whether you're in Miami or LA, everybody's feeling that kind of pressure from the fairs. I'd say for artists, I'm probably the least, you know, I could probably speak to that the least. My sense of things is, of course, as Miami becomes more and more of a mecca for snowbirds to actually stay here full time, and, you know, it becomes a more sophisticated community, it becomes a more expensive community. I say community city. So what are artists going to do? They're going to flee, you know, they're going to keep moving and moving and moving. That's that sort of old story about gentrification, you know. The artists find the great deals, and you know, and then the developers move in, and then we all have condos, you know. So I think that's going to happen. It's happening. We see it happening. I visited two artists a few weeks ago who bought big studio spaces in Little Haiti when it was not a safe place to visit, not a pleasant place, and now they're sitting on, you know, some substantial investments that they made. So that's, you know, I think this is just the sort of probably the sort of typical, if you think about the way Soho was, right, in the 60s and the way it is now. I think this community is absolutely on the cusp of something big, and it's going really quickly. I mean, you know, I feel like in 2.5 years I've seen some difference. That also things change. As one thing that's interesting is that all the directors of the museums now, many of the directors are from out of town. We're not from Miami. We haven't lived here long. We were actually brought in. And that lends a whole different perspective to the way these museums will change, because, you know, when you have outsiders, they bring in a lot of contacts and just different philosophy.